Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode on the F is for Effort podcast. I'm Jack Hayden. Okay, so today I'd like to talk about something that has been very personal to me lately, something that has been on my mind more than usual, and that being the topic of caring for an aging parent who is also facing illness and needs ongoing support. And I can honestly say this. Never in my life did I feel like I was getting a bigger F for my effort than when I was faced with caring for my mom. It was the most helpless feeling I've ever experienced. So let me share that experience with you now. So far, this month has been especially heavy for me. So, Wednesday, April 1st, marked the anniversary of my mom's passing. She has now been gone for 11 years. And even after all this time, it still brings back a lot of emotions and memories, very personal ones that have stayed with me. Losing her was a very dramatic moment in my life, emotionally and physically, and it still resonates with me to this day. And when I reflect back on it, I think a lot about what it means to be an adult child caring for an aging parent. The stress, the struggle, and the frustration of not being able to control the situation, no matter how hard you try. When a parent becomes ill, whether it's a chronic illness, a disease, or something long term, you do everything you can to be there. You try to support them physically, emotionally, in every way possible. And yet, it can feel like you're still coming up short. Like no matter what you do, it's just not enough. It's a helpless feeling, like you're constantly trying to reach the surface, but you're stuck underwater and can't quite get there. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that you don't have control. You wish you did, but you don't. In my situation, my mom developed a chronic illness, chronic kidney disease, which lasted for several years before she passed. She was diagnosed roughly 7 or 8 years, maybe even longer, before she passed away. Chronic kidney disease is exactly what it sounds like. It's a long term condition that cannot be reversed. You can slow the progression through diet, exercise, and managing stress, but once you have it, it doesn't go away. For a long time, my mom didn't even realize how serious it was. She felt okay. She didn't feel sick or experience extreme symptoms in the early stages. But as the disease progressed into stage 4 and then stage 5, it became much more apparent that something was wrong. That's when I really started to take notice. I began asking more questions because my mom tended to make light of the situation. She would say that she was going to the doctor and managing things, and I took that at face value for a while without really digging deeper. But once she started feeling worse, I became more concerned. I wanted to attend her doctor's appointments with her, and glad I did. When I finally sat in on one of those appointments and was able to ask questions directly, I got the full picture. And honestly, by that point, it was already late in the progression of the disease. She was between stage 4 and 5, essentially end stage, and nearing the point of needing dialysis. That moment was a shock. I didn't fully understand what chronic kidney disease was. I didn't realize it was irreversible, and I didn't realize how far along she was. All of that hit me at once during that one appointment. Walking out of there, I felt overwhelmed, sad, frustrated, even angry. But I didn't show that to her. I stayed focused on what we needed to do next. From that point on, I became much more involved. I started attending more appointments with her, especially as she got closer to needing dialysis. We went through informational sessions about what dialysis would look like, how to prepare for it, and what steps were needed to get her on the kidney transplant list. There was a lot to process: procedures, timelines, preparation, evaluations, but we took it step by step. Eventually, she started dialysis. At the same time, we began the process of getting her evaluated for the transplant list. That meant making sure the rest of her health was in good condition. No cancer, no other serious illnesses that would disqualify her from receiving a transplant. She went through all the screenings and was eventually placed on the list. At that point, I started thinking about how I could do more. I began researching ways to speed up the process because I learned that being on the transplant list could take years, and unfortunately, many people don't receive a transplant in time. I didn't want that for my mom, so I looked into other options, including becoming a living donor myself. I was fully ready to do it, but I wasn't a match for her. That led us to explore a kidney swap program. The idea is that if you're not a match for your loved one, you can donate to someone else who is a match for you, while their donor gives a kidney to your loved one. It's essentially a chain that allows both patients to receive a transplant at the same time. We were approved to move forward with that process, which significantly reduced the wait time from potentially 5 years down to maybe less than a year. So I was all in. I was determined to make it happen. But then, about a year into the process, everything changed. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. That diagnosis brought everything to a halt. She had to focus on treating the cancer and becoming cancer free before she could even be considered for a transplant again. So we shifted gears. She went through treatment, which meant chemotherapy, and then we had to wait. There was a required period of about 2 years to ensure the cancer didn't return before she could be eligible again. So during that time, she continued dialysis. There were no shortcuts, just waiting and hoping. Thankfully, she made it through treatment and was declared in remission. We were relieved and ready to move forward again. But getting back on the transplant list took time. There were more screenings, more clearances, more waiting. And by this point, dialysis had taken a toll on her. It's a draining process. It's physically exhausting, and it began to weaken her. Still, we kept going. About a year later, just as we were regaining momentum, we received another devastating blow. The cancer had returned. This time, it was a different type, but the impact was the same. Everything was put on hold again, and the waiting period reset. It felt like we were being knocked down over and over again, just as we were trying to move forward. Throughout all of this, I was doing everything I could, supporting her, coordinating care, researching options, but inside, I was struggling. I felt frustrated, sad, angry, and completely helpless. There's only so much you can do when someone you love is facing multiple serious illnesses all at once. But my mom, she kept going. She went through surgeries, including a mastectomy. She continued dialysis 3 times a week for hours at a time, even while recovering. She endured chemotherapy on top of everything else. And through it all, she kept saying the same thing. She just had to keep moving forward. To me, that was incredible. She became a role model in a way I never expected. Her strength, her resilience, it was something I deeply admired. It was something I didn't know I would have had if I were in her position. But it was also incredibly hard to watch. Seeing someone who had been so independent her entire life become weaker, more dependent, and physically drained, it was heartbreaking. It wasn't the person I had known growing up. It was a completely different reality. There were so many difficult days. Days when she was tired, depressed, and overwhelmed. Days when the weight of everything really showed on her. There were even times when she talked about stopping dialysis. And hearing that, it was one of the hardest things I've ever faced. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I didn't want to encourage it, but I also understood where she was coming from. All I could do was be there, remind her that I loved her, that she wasn't alone, that I would continue to be there no matter what. Sometimes that's all you can do. As time went on, her condition continued to decline. The combination of kidney failure, dialysis, cancer, and treatment all was just too much for her body. Eventually, her body gave out. The day she passed was unexpected. I had gone to visit her after work, thinking it would be a normal visit, just a couple of hours before heading home. But it wasn't. The visit turned out to be the last few hours of her life. Even now, when I think back on that day, it still surprises me. Had I not gone, I might not have seen her at all. Everything happened so quickly. She was in a rehabilitation facility at the time, trying to regain strength. I had gone straight there after work, just like any other day. And then everything changed. I lost her that day, and I still miss her. But when I reflect back on everything, I can honestly say that I don't have regrets about how I showed up for her. I did everything I could. I spoke to her every single day, usually during my drive home from work. We would be on the phone for 30 minutes or more, just talking about anything and everything. I visited whenever I could. I helped coordinate her appointments. I researched doctors and made sure she was getting the best care possible. I was there. Could I have done more earlier on? Yeah, maybe. I wish I would have asked more questions when she was first diagnosed. I wish I had been more involved sooner. But that's hindsight. What matters most to me is that when she needed me the most, I showed up. And that's really the message I want to share with you all now. So, that's my story. And to be completely honest, throughout the years, I always did fear the day when I would lose my mom. I dreaded it, and I knew it would be difficult, but the reality I experienced was so much worse than I could have imagined. So, with all this that I have shared with you now, what are the takeaways? Okay, well, first and foremost, if you're caring for an aging parent or you know that time is ahead of you, just show up for them. Be present, stay involved, and keep the communication going. It won't be easy. It may be one of the hardest things you ever go through, but you will get through it. And when you look back, what will matter most is knowing that you did everything you could, that you showed up, that you supported them, that you were there. Work will always be there, but this time will not. Take the leave available to you, whether it's family medical leave or paid time off, and spend that time with your loved one. You only get it once. If your parents are still here, make the effort now. Call them, visit them, tell them you love them. Keep that connection strong while you can. I know all families are different, and some may have a complicated or strained relationship with their parents. But perhaps now is the time to look past petty disagreements and make the most of your time with them while you still can. Because tomorrow is never guaranteed. This is something we all experience eventually. Some of us already have, and some of us will. And when that time comes, no matter how much effort you give, it can still feel like it's not enough. And that's failed effort. Life lived. Thank you for being with me today. I know this was a heavy episode, especially as I reflect on the 11th anniversary of my mom's passing. I hope something I shared here resonates with you, whether you're going through it now, have been through it, or may face it in the future, and gives you a little perspective along the way. I'm Jack Hayden. Until next time.